August 28th, 2025. Following the mall incident, I rather quickly surmised that it would be in my better interest to leave Minneapolis before the suited ones could track me down. Taking stock of the currency in my wallet procured from a store cash register, and cross-referencing it with bus ticket prices on my phone, I estimated my funds to be sufficient for at least 2 more bus trips. "Here are your hash browns, hun," smiled a dark-skinned female as she slid the hot plate onto my table. Human dermal tones differed a shocking amount for a species with so little genetic diversity, though given that they tasted the exact same, this variation was almost entirely cosmetic, likely meant to protect the human's less robust cells from varying levels of UV radiation. Fortunately, the pale-skinned form I had selected already mirrored the population majority, and as such, I felt no need to alter it. Anyhow, just as promised from the menu, 3 round patties of carbohydrate-rich plant matter awaited me alongside my orange soda. "Thank you very much," I smiled, setting aside the currency that would comprise my payment as I awkwardly attempted to make use of the fork provided to me. After a few seconds of fumbling with it, I was able to figure out something resembling proper use, impaling a piece of the first hash brown and raising it to my mouth for consumption. Just as I polished off the first nutrient disc and moved on to the second, something peculiar caught my eye. On a large screen positioned just above the diner's front counter, I saw footage being played of the very same mall I had left mere hours before. Throughout the establishment, customers with attention unburdened by their food and phones looked up at the screen with bewilderment. Tragedy today at the Mall of America as an unconfirmed number of gunmen with unknown motives entered the building and opened fire on civilians. However, viral footage of the event captured by survivors reveals a bizarre twist to this all-too-familiar story. Then came the video recordings. Some of the footage shook so terribly that even I struggled to follow what was happening, whereas others were grainy enough to make me momentarily question if my eyes were suffering from some sort of defect. None of these impurities, however, would have been sufficient to conceal my presence. The first clear footage available, taken from some kind of storefront camera, showed my form dropping down from the rafters and wrapping a tendril around the neck of a malignant cell. Around me, the humans who saw this displayed mixed reactions. "What on God's green earth is that thing?" the waitress who had served me wondered aloud. The next video clip showed a familiar woman's face as she recounted the occurrence within the mall. Below the shaken woman's profile, the name Marsha Blanche appeared on the screen in bold text. "I always hear people say in movies that things like this happen fast, but when that man held the gun to my head, it felt like time slowed down." Her voice wavered and hitched as she spoke, as though she hadn't yet decided what to feel about what had happened. "I thought we were saved when I saw the officer come in, but he was totally alone. There was no SWAT unit, no other police, nothing. When he got shot, I thought we were all going to die, but then that thing showed up." "Could you describe more of that creature you saw?" asked the interviewer, seeming far more interested in me than her. "What did it look like?" "That's the crazy part," Marsha continued, her eyes flowing downward away from the camera's glare. "I saw it change form. It looked like a monster one moment, then it warped into a human and talked to me." By now, the entire diner had fallen silent as humans looked up at the television screen with fascination, or perhaps fear. "You claim it talked to you?" the interviewer asked, their tone reeking of desperately concealed excitement. "Do you remember what the entity said?" "Vaguely," continued the survivor, her eyes momentarily drifting away from the microphone. "It asked if I was okay." Moments later, the image of the woman on screen faded away, replaced instead by pictures of the malignant bodies I'd left behind, their injuries heavily blurred as though someone had smudged the ink of existence. Preliminary forensic reports on the bodies have been inconclusive, though authorities have ruled out local wildlife as having been responsible. So far, 14 witnesses have come forward with reports of the unidentified creature. "What do you think it is?" murmured a green-shirted young customer in the booth to my left, sounding almost conspiratorial as he spoke to the 3 others sitting with him. "Some kind of bioweapon, maybe?" replied the first one, looking up at the images of the carnage I had wrought upon the violent ones, his deep blue eyes sparkling with fascination. The next interview that appeared on screen was of the first woman I had saved during the event. I was satisfied to see that my cell injection had done its work, as she seemed perfectly able to stand. "Miss Cassidy, can you tell us more about the creature you saw?" She nodded in reply. "I remember the first thing it said to me after killing the gunman, 'Do not be afraid.' I had been shot twice, and I don't know how or even why, but whatever this thing was, it healed the wounds." In the nearby booth, another of the friends spoke up, stoking the impressive growth of hair that stretched down from his chin. "Hear me out, guys. What if it was an angel?" An angel. I had read a little bit about them during my research on the Amish and their Christian mythos. Various human belief systems incorporated such beings, benevolent servants of an all-powerful entity that for some bizarre reason felt the need to delegate. "That thing sure didn't look angelic to me," replied the green-shirted one, their tones saturated with slightly more fear than the others. "Yeah, but aren't they supposed to be scary? I mean, if they were just dudes with wings, they probably wouldn't need to start every conversation with a 'don't shit your pants, dude.' What do you think, Harry?" "I'm not really the religious type," shrugged Harry, staring down into his half-eaten stack of pancakes as he pondered the nature of my interference. "Maybe China sent it?" In response to this event, the Department of Homeland Security has released the following statement. Again, the screen shifted its display, this time to a stern-looking man with silvery gray hair, his face surrounded by a legion of labeled microphones. "Hello to all citizens listening in. I am Deputy Director William Lancaster of the Department of Homeland Security. Earlier today, a violent mass casualty event took place at the Mall of America in Minneapolis. Our thoughts are with the victims and their families, and we are coordinating with local law enforcement to determine the motive of the attack, as well as to track down any potential collaborators. In the time span leading up to the arrival of SWAT units, numerous eyewitness accounts and video recordings captured evidence of an unknown and seemingly biological actor exhibiting unprecedented capabilities. Based on preliminary analysis, this entity engaged with and neutralized several of the armed assailants. At this time, we cannot definitively confirm the origin, intent, or full capabilities of this organism. Measured and calm as the individual on screen appeared initially, something about the stiffness of his posture combined with his pattern of speaking gave the impression of buried unease, like a prey animal trying to make itself look bigger in an attempt to frighten off a perceived predator. The Department of Homeland Security has activated relevant task forces to coordinate with the Centers for Disease Control, the Department of Defense, and other federal organizations to assess the nature of this entity. Should this unknown entity prove to be a novel biological threat, foreign or otherwise, we are prepared to take all necessary steps to ensure the safety and security of the American people. At this time, we are asking any individuals who may have come into direct contact with the organism in question to report to local law enforcement or medical professionals for debriefing and screening. Anyone found to be withholding information related to the identity or location of this organism may be subject to investigation. Let me be clear. While the actions of this unidentified biological agent appear on the surface to have prevented further loss of life, the existence of a biologically anomalous entity within U.S. borders represents a matter of national concern. We will continue to provide updates as more information becomes available. This was an unfortunate turn of events. While it would have been illogical of me not to anticipate a more serious response from human power structures, the speed at which it occurred far outpaced my predictions. Given these miscellaneous organizations' service to the same country as the group that had taken Jane, I had little doubt that the suited ones would also be involved. Spreading my map out on the table, I traced a path with my fingertip and determined that my journey's next stop would be the city of Rochester. There was a bus set to leave 2 hours later that would take me there. All I needed to do was get across town without being detected. Barely bothering to chew nor savor the soda, I scarfed down my meal's remainder and paid off the tab, along with a customary tip, before folding the map back into my pocket and stepping outside. Though not particularly warm even by human standards, the morning sunlight nevertheless felt as though it were glaring at me with each step I took down the streets of Minneapolis. As per usual, a majority of the humans I encountered along the sidewalk seemed far more interested in what was on their phone screens than anything else. Sparing the occasional glance over their shoulders, however, I saw that many if not most of them were on social media, either posting about or reacting to the events which had transpired hours before. For the purposes of blending in, I quickly produced my own device and pulled up a social media application using borrowed Wi-Fi. Throughout my journey to the other side of town, I repeatedly connected to free networks and loaded up conversations on internet forums. Some were calling me the Mall Guardian, others the Herald. Herald of what exactly theories differed. "This is all clearly a hoax," proclaimed poster Dragon Balls 387, alleging that the photographs and videos were all AI generated. "Who had Skinwalkers Are Real for 2025 bingo?" asked Fattestelle 2023, the number of laughing responses below hinting that their question was intended as humor. "Yo, that looks kinda like something we saw on tour," proclaimed Arcturus, penitent official, the name's familiarity instantly striking me. I did not wish to break my anonymity by reaching out, though I did select the option to follow their account just in case I wanted to contact them later. Each and every internet thread I sifted through seemed as though it were actively being worked into the tapestry of a new myth, specifically that of myself. Every once in a while as I walked, I'd catch sight of a police vehicle or unmarked black van slowly meandering down the street, no doubt searching for me. Fortunately, none of the videos or images captured at the mall depicted my true face, and as such, they weren't able to spot me. Arriving near the bus station with half an hour to spare, I decided it was in my best interest to collect some items for the road. Entering a simple supermarket, I purchased a backpack and loaded it with a wealth of sugary snacks just in case I got hungry. I was just about to head back to the bus station to purchase my ticket when another shop caught my eye. Not nearly as busy as the supermarket, I could see through the glass door that its shelves were lined with books. Stepping inside, I saw the half-asleep cashier regard me almost with confusion as I browsed through the available items. I wanted to learn more about humanity, so I went to the non-fiction section and picked out 2 books, one on history and another detailing human evolution. Just as I was about to check out, though, I noticed a small yet colorful display along the far wall. These books, smaller and flimsier in comparison to the ones I'd already retrieved, depicted humans in brightly colored outfits, all bearing outlandish names. With little time to dawdle, I selected a variety of them and brought my order to the front desk. With the books paid off, I tucked them into my new backpack and slung it over my shoulder before returning to the bus stop.